Right. Young people, parents, anyone interested of Oak Grove Community Church, I have with me Emmanuel. And Emmanuel, we're going to have a little chat. Emmanuel's from a totally different part of the country. And so we've got a number of things to cover with him. But first of all, I've got the 5 questions that I'm going to ask of everyone I talk to. And those 5 questions, basically, you're going to sit there and you're going to judge. We're not all about judgment normally, but we're going to judge whether we're going to listen to Emmanuel based on his answers to these 5 questions. So firstly, Coke or Pepsi?
It's got to be Coke.
It's got to be Coke. Diet Coke, zero, full fat. What's the?
Full fat.
Full fat.
The good stuff. You want all the sugar. The sugar.
Many friends. Now this one's a little bit spikier because I know there's a lot of arguments that go on within the youth group itself here. KFC or McDonald's?
I'm KFC. I'm KFC all the way.
Absolutely.
Especially those spicy chicken wings. Love them.
Me, the hot wings are great. For me, McDonald's is useless when they stop serving breakfast.
Oh.
Right.
Have you been going in the queues since the
No, I haven't. No, it's because they haven't started doing breakfast yet. They started doing
fair enough.
On the 24th, apparently. So not that I've checked. Not that I've got
breakfast queue.
My alarm will go off. We'll be like, ooh, double sausage and egg McMuffin. Hurrah. Okay, football based. City or United?
Greatest team in the world, Man United, of course.
But then you could say that because you don't live in Manchester. So,
well,
yeah. Everyone who seems to live in Manchester itself doesn't. They've not got as many supporters.
I've been to Manchester a few times, and I see more red than I see blue. So
it's been a long time since I've been to Manchester. Actually, I must admit. For the Christians amongst us, Hillsong or Bethel?
It's not right now. Right. I'm with Bethel.
Okay, right.
I'm really loving the stuff that they're doing at the moment. It's really great.
I've always been a bit of a Hillsong baby. Historically,
some great songs coming out of Bethel, but I think there's this new thing that Bethel have been doing at the moment, where they're doing like worship with loads of leaders in the same room around, and just kind of it's been powerful, and I've just really been enjoying just meeting with God in that way. I've
been listening to a bit more Bethel recently, but I think I'm still in the Hillsong camp. I think. Close. And importantly, as actually we've been discussing this nearly before I pressed the record. Tea or coffee?
You know what? I'm coffee, but since PG Tips and Yorkshire have come out now, then I'm definitely team tea.
One tweet can change someone's drinking habits.
One tweet can change everything.
I love it. Okay, so a number of people there will sit there and decide based on those 5 questions whether they're now going to turn off or whether you're still with them. So, who knows? But let's move into the realms of slightly more serious.
Yeah.
Although some of those very serious questions, particularly the tea and coffee.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, whether you're paid, volunteer, the sort of things you do to fill your time.
Yeah, so my name is Emmanuel, as we already said, and I'm living in Nottingham. And whilst in Nottingham, I'm part of a church called Reach Nottingham. As part of our church, I oversee all our youth work, as well as helping run missional communities. But I actually do that voluntarily with my own time. I'm currently paid working in a school doing mentoring with some behavioral students. Which is great. Just love being in around the school, having great conversations and hanging out. So,
what sort of ages are you mentoring?
So at the moment, I'm mentoring year 7s to 9s.
Nice.
But because of the nature of my job in behavior, it means that I get access to all the kids. So pretty much sometimes it's a 5-minute mentoring conversation in a corridor with a year 11. But then sometimes it can be like a 1-hour conversation in my office with a year 8 kind of thing. So yeah.
How does that look at the moment? Are you able to do any of that in lockdown?
Yeah, so a lot of phone calls, which sometimes it's hit, sometimes it's miss. So having to call all the kids which I would have been mentoring to just catch up and say how they're doing, have a conversation, which is good because I think all of them appreciate that there's still a bit of that relationship that's going on. But sometimes it gets awkward just like talking on the phone. So really looking forward to the time when we can have more face-to-face conversations again.
It's great that you're still managing to get to talk though, because I know that some
Yeah.
people have not managed to sort of maintain a relationship with everyone. And certainly there are members of my youth group who have dropped off the radar a little bit. And that's really sad. And most people working with young people can't wait to get back to something that looked a bit like what it did before.
Yeah, we're definitely praying for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Really exciting. I love that. I love the fact that you're sort of getting involved in schools. Are you, it sounds a bit personal here. Does school pay you, or is it a charity?
So currently school pays me to do that role. Initially, we went in voluntarily. I think I was talking to some of the guys from over there in Norwich and talking about the work that they've been doing in schools and with YFC, and I was like, I would love to be in school doing something. So we went into the school and said, hey, we'd just like to offer my services. From this church, do youth work. Would you like me to come and do a bit of mentoring? Said yes. And they saw fruit in it. Yeah, it seemed to be working. Some of the kids were really engaging and helping with some of their behavior. So they opened up a role for somebody to be a behavior mentor.
Beautiful.
And I happened to get it. It would have been embarrassing if I didn't, but
no, I love schools work. I really love schools work.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really special. Some people just get on with it and really, really enjoy it. Other people, much more comfortable in a different type of youth work. Some people love detached youth work and just wandering the streets and finding people. I love the fact you found your little niche there. That's really exciting. Tell us a little bit about Nottingham. Some of what you love about it and some of the more problematic bits of it, maybe.
Yeah, so I moved to Nottingham about 7 years ago now, whilst I was studying to do my youth work degree, and I fell in love with it. There's a lot about Nottingham. I think its history is where Robin Hood was from. So that just kind of fills me with excitement already, but particularly in the area that I live in, it's a nice community. It's easy to get to know people. There's mini markets and stuff like that. So there's lots of things that I love, and the transportation, we've got trams and stuff like that you can easily get into the center of town, which is huge, with a lot of things to do, a lot of places to eat. So definitely make a few trips there to try out Five Guys and stuff like that. So the bits of Nottingham that I've lived in and I've seen have been very beautiful and very good. But like any place in the world, really, you've got your good places and the places that are a bit more challenging. I think if you read the news sometimes, you'll hear people refer to Nottingham as Shottingham because there's a history of gun violence and gang violence as well. In some areas of Nottingham. I've not ventured into those areas quite yet, but we are aware that there is problems within the city as well. But there is also some good things.
Where did you move from?
So I grew up in Hull.
Okay.
Kingston upon Hull. So from when I was about 7, 8, because originally I was born in Zimbabwe, that's where I'm from, and then when we moved to England, lived in London for about a year or so, then we moved to Hull. So I did my secondary school and growing up over there. So got a soft spot for Hull. So,
lovely.
Yeah.
Actually, I must admit, the last time I was in Nottingham, we got the tram in. Just beautifully clean, easy, cheap. I was like, this is amazing. We were going in for a Christmas market. I was going to do some Christmas shopping. It was lovely. And I'd heard that Nottingham had a bit of an issue around gun crime. I'd got no stats on it, but I took the trip and I just thought, well, this is lovely. How can this be? But much like Norwich has got some areas that are really deprived and has some real issues. But you wouldn't know it necessarily if you just go and visit the nice, pretty bits in the centre.
Yeah.
There are some, like most cities. I mean, I come from Cambridge, and even Cambridge, which everyone would think, oh my word, Cambridge is so, posh and studious. There are council estates in Cambridge. Cambridge has its issues. You know, any city of any size is probably going to have these areas, and it's a bit of a shame in a way that you know, you do get these labels. The other thing I noticed about Nottingham when I went is one of the car parks used to have this sign on it that said the #1 car park in the country, 1996 or something like that. I was like, wow, who knew?
There's always a bit of competition in Nottingham. Even our football teams, they're just separated by like one river, so they're like literally in walking distance away from each other. So the rivalry, there's always competition a bit.
Don't cross a river. You never cross a river. It's like London.
Never cross.
North London, South London. You don't cross the river.
You don't do it.
You don't do it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, right. Well, let's have a little chat about some of the racial tension that's going on at the moment. You know, I must admit, when it all kicked off, as I said, sort of before we recorded this, part of me just wanted to shush and listen for a bit. And one of the saddest things for me is I sat there and I thought, I actually, living where I do, it's very white middle class. I come from Cambridge, very white middle class. I don't have a huge pool of black friends that I can listen to. So I thought, well, who do I know that's a youth worker that's coming from, you know, a different angle on this than myself that I can listen to? And I've contacted a couple of people I know and a couple of guys I know. And because our church is linked to yours through Synergy, I thought, well, let's have a chat with yourself. And I thought, I really want to know what it's like. What have you had and experienced? So I just initially just want to know how it's felt recently, now that is all very in the air and very raw.
Yeah, it's been such an interesting time. I keep saying, like, that first week when that video came out in America of this man getting murdered in broad daylight by a police officer, it was nothing but like pain and sadness in my heart. I remember I cried a number of times, and if you talk to my wife, she's like, you hardly cry, but for some reason this like felt really personal. It felt very hurtful that I was watching somebody get treated inhumanely. So I felt, and I was just kind of like, is this really the world that we live in, that somebody that's meant to be a protector can choose to abuse their power and treat somebody in such a horrible, vicious way publicly with no remorse in their face as well. So I was filled with a lot of pain, and I didn't know how to feel because these things often happen and nothing happens, or some people will speak out, but it's quickly shut down and nobody gets to really hear the pain or the stories of what's going on. So I dreaded that this was going to be another situation where they say he was just a bad guy, he deserved what he got, the police officer's fine, he'll carry on, and we'll all try to pretend like we didn't see it. But the response from that has been huge. And I think even as we speak right now, there's demonstrations going on all over the world with people standing up and saying, we are against racism. We're against injustice. And they're saying, we're no longer going to be quiet. We have seen it and we're going to stand up and speak out, which meant for me growing up and having to be quiet and hide away some racism that I might have received. I get to kind of have the confidence to stand up and say, okay, I'm against this as well. This is how I've been made to feel. I hope we see a change and we see a difference. So I've come from a place of deep sorrow to a place of great hope, that actually we're in a place now that not only people of my skin color, but white people, Asian people, people across the world, they're all saying that we are against this and want to see great change happen in our world.
It does feel different this time, doesn't it?
It really does.
It really, and I, you know, I'm really thankful that it does feel different, and it's horrible. I mean, I've not been able to watch that entire clip.
No.
You know, I've seen bits of it, and it's long. It's, you know, I can't do it. And it's horrific that it had to happen, but this is different. It does feel different. And knowing that, you know, I'm in a quite white area, we've had, black kids come along to our youth group, and boy, are they welcome. Anyone's welcome, through the doors of the church. But we don't really get to hear here, maybe, of day-to-day incidences of racism. And I just wonder whether you've got anything you can share, little things that might have happened to you, just so that we can understand the little bits that happen much more frequently. The stuff that gets in the news is horrible.
Yeah.
But the one thing I don't understand is the little bits that happen frequently. Have you got any examples of those?
I think that's a very great question, because it's part of the conversation I've been having for the last couple of weeks, where people experience racism in different ways and in different volumes. And I think when I was younger, especially, I thought that the slight digs and words that were said to me, or if it's monkey sounds, or if it's the use of the N-word towards me, I thought this is just small compared to somebody else that gets treated really badly. One of my deepest, saddest stories and moments in my life was when my mom was still alive, that she was on a bus stop about to go to work, and she worked really hard, and she was just waiting for a bus, and this group or gang of kids just started throwing stones at her and calling her out names. And I remember she came home and she didn't go to work that night. And as she told me the story of what happened, everything in me wanted to go and defend her, but I knew that actually I would be in a bad situation, what would happen to me, and she didn't want me to do that. So then I was silenced from that. I remember, like, the next day we didn't even talk about it. We went about the day as if nothing had ever happened. We went about with my friends that sometimes would say things without realizing that they were offensive, and just not saying anything because of that fear of, like, what is going to happen to me. And I feel like in this time when people are standing up, and, for any young people that are Black out there, I think it's showing that people are willing to hear us out and to stand with us and to make your voice not be silent anymore. So you don't have to suffer the little bit of racism, the little things that are thrown at you, that niggle you and stuff like that. Those things are important as well to share. So because it's not at the grand scale of what we saw in that horrific video, it doesn't mean that it doesn't matter, the little bits and things. And I think it's sad, Peter, because I've been on Twitter and I've had to come off when I've seen people kind of saying, oh, but it's just this little thing, or it's just this little word, or it's just nothing, or you're just being a snowflake. Like, I love snow, but now I just hate the word snowflake because I'm just kind of like, do you know what? For somebody that's really painful, that's really hurtful, and using those words or doing things that you might just think are nothing can bring great pain to somebody else. So I think I definitely experienced levels of racism when I was young. I think even my white friends saw it and often didn't know what to do or say. Yeah. But I think, like I said earlier, now I think I've got hope and courage that if people saw people being treated unjustly or unfairly, or being treated in a way that it's not humanely, even if it's like minor things, that people would say something, would stand up for them. That's my prayer.
Do you feel it's getting better or worse? I mean, it's very hard to say right now, because we're in the middle of it all, and I think everyone is very aware of what they're saying and doing right now. But generally, sort of over the last year or two, have you felt it getting better? I mean, it must be horrible to have to take these things and, in essence, do exactly what we as youth workers would probably tell people not to do, and suppress it. And let's not talk about it. But we would never say that as youth workers, would you? You'd never sit there and say, well, bottle it up, son. You just wouldn't do that. But it seems, and a couple of conversations that I've had with people, that seems to be kind of what's happened. Does it feel like it's getting better, or is it getting worse?
I'd like to say yes. I think just looking at different time periods. So I was saying to a friend of mine 15 years ago when I moved to Hull, where you could count the amount of Black people around on your hands, it felt more unsafe to walk around and to be black. I remember, like, even my mom would say, don't go out after 6, and this is just 15 years ago. 30 years ago, 50 years ago, it would have probably been a much complete different story as well. It would have probably been worse. So I think gradually we've been getting to that point where things have been getting better, but with still underlining racism that still happens there. But I think it has felt a bit more, especially in this country, it's felt a bit more safer, a bit more tolerating. And I can't speak for America, because I think the level of racism there is embedded in the politics and everything. But in this country, I think we have seen some great change. But at the same time, we've also seen people boldly coming out and showing that they're racist and campaigning against minority groups. So as much as more people have kind of been like, we're tolerating, we love everybody, some people have been really saying, no, we hate these people, we don't want them in our country.
I think maybe it's forced people to get off the fence and to think about it. And when they've thought about it, they've gone one side or the other.
Yeah.
It's so in the press right now.
Yeah.
We can't just sit there and say, oh, I don't know.
No.
And sadly that means that some people have posted some horrible and hurtful things online and put some horrible and hurtful comments, and you're going to see more of those, but you're going to see more people backing you up, giving you support. And that's, I think, how we deal with this online is just a massive issue.
I think it's spot on, and I think let's take the positives out of the situation. I think us sitting and having this conversation and the conversations that you've had and that are going to come, this would not have happened 2 weeks ago. A horrible thing happened 2 weeks ago, but without it even happening, this conversation probably will not be happening. We'll just continue on. We'll be going on with our lives. But as a result, that everybody is now seeing it, and people have been feeling sometimes something inside, thinking maybe something's not right, something's wrong here. And people are going like, okay, now we're going to say something. But not everybody gets it. And this is where social media comes in. Most people kind of look at the situation as in, why is everybody speaking out because of an isolated incident that happened in America, in a place that some of us don't even know how to pronounce properly? Why is there so much outrage? And then some people are saying, but hold on, this is a bigger picture. This is what we're saying. It's more than just that. It's a message of what's been going on for so long. And then it's a message of things that have been going on quietly in the background that people have not been seeing. And people are saying, okay, we get it. Now we see it. And we're not going to tolerate. We're not going to stand for it no more. It's no longer time to just be on the fence. And I think my deepest prayer is for anyone that's against what's going on, is that everybody realize this is not a white versus black situation. This is a humanity versus racism situation. This is we all saw something horrific that we would not want to see happen to our mother or father or brother or sister, our pets. We would not want to see anything like that happen. So therefore, we are going to we all need to make a stand to say, no longer are we going to tolerate that. And if we see situations like this arising, we're going to stand up, we're going to say something, even if it's the smallest thing ever.
Absolutely. The when I wrote down sort of a list of things I was going to chat to you about, I didn't know what was going to come up. And the one thing I'm really, really pleased by is your positive response. And the way you are seems massively positive. There are some people who, quite understandably, seem quite angry. But I love your positivity. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I was going to ask you a little bit, and particularly for the the guys in my group, my youth group who are who are faithful Christians. Where have you gone to in the Bible when you feel oppressed? I mean, it's probably the only way, when you feel like it's getting on top of you. Is there anywhere in the Bible where you sat there and gone, well, that's my go-to place?
Number of places. I think I'll say the particular verse at the moment that I dwell in. This is a very famous one, but I think just in general, the story of Jesus is so powerful. I think when you get to know who Jesus is and the love of Jesus for each and every single one of us. So God, the creator of the universe, loving you and me so much that he says, I'll send my son, and his son to come to live in a world full of mess, trying to bring hope, trying to bring love, bringing miracles, people getting healed. And he was perfect. He did everything right, but people still couldn't accept him. Some people still couldn't accept him, to the point that they ended up crucifying him. And then you think that if they won, because they've now killed Jesus, who was meant to love everybody. But actually what happens is that 3 days later, he raises from the dead. It means for you and me, we have got the grace. It means that we're forgiven for our sins. And believe me, as a Christian, I'm still not deserving for some of the forgiveness that, I get through Jesus. So to me, just always looking back, like in the hard times of persecution sometimes, and seeing that God loves me so much and he is for me, and he promises me that he will never forsake me, and looking at what Jesus did on the cross is so powerful, and it really gives me that courage to just continue going and have the hope for a day like this where we're seeing change. But a particular verse that I've been going to at the moment, and it came in mind before this, is Psalm 23, really famous psalm. And simply reads, the Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I'll fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And it goes on to more. But I think that bit is so important. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, and we all walk through some kind of darkness. And I think as we're talking about racism right now, I think a lot of people have walked in that dark place. But then if we know that we've got a God that is for us, that loves us, then we fear nothing, because we know he's with us and he will comfort us in the times when we're troubled. So I think, yeah.
Really interestingly, just before we started this call, one of the other youth workers posted Psalm 23 on our chat page, and he just had a little thought of the day about it. So there's obviously something in that right now, for now and for today, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now there's something you posted on Facebook the other day, and I thought that's cracking. And I know you're a father.
I am.
And I'm a father, and you'll be really aware, as kids go up, there are kind of two different modes that kids have, and it's either build things up or knock things down. Now, I've got one of each at the moment. I've got somebody who loves building Lego. My little lad loves building and constructing and stuff like that. My daughter just loves like destroying things. Although she also likes a bit of drawing and stuff like that. But you posted this thing about building people up. Yeah. And I just wanted you, just, if possible, just tell us a little bit about why now particularly it's important to build each other up rather than knock each other down.
I think first thing to say is it's always been important, but I think we live in a generation or in a time, and maybe it's always been around, where, like we talked about earlier, about competition, about I am the best to this, football teams, rivalries. It always has felt like somebody has to be superior over another person. And then when we talk about race, I think a lot of people have felt for a long time that it's always, right, my race has to be here, so then you're lower. So I'm white, so therefore you're in our country and stuff like that, so you don't deserve to be in this place where I'm at. But that is not who God is. And I think with that kind of tension of always trying to one up on each other, instead of seeing each other as equals, as brothers and sisters, of saying, actually, we can both be successful, we can both have great things in life, it will always bring about a divide. But actually, if we do uplift each other, and we help each other to become better. Take an illustration of, a football team or whatever. If you instead of just wanting to be the best player on the pitch just by yourself, I score 30, 40 goals. But actually you become more of a, how do I make that person play better? But maybe I pass them the ball and they do that and they become better. As a team, you might find yourself growing and becoming the best team in the world like Man United.
Well,
But
we've all seen teams full of amazing players,
absolutely.
but they don't gel.
No.
And they don't win.
They don't.
You know,
And
it's not always about the best players.
No.
It's how they play together. I mean, I'm a cricket man rather than a football man, really.
Yeah.
And I can have the best match. There's been times when I've batted well and I've bowled well, but as a team, we haven't won.
Mm.
And there's been other times when I've had a stinker, but the team has dragged us forwards and we have won because other people have contributed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The team aspect is really important. And the thing that gets me all the time is comparison and competition. It's just not a healthy mindset.
No.
And my young people at this point will just be going, oh, he's off on it again. I spend a lot of time just saying, guys, stop comparing yourself to other people. It's not a competition.
No.
And the thing that gets me, I mean, in the Bible, you know, we know that God can do immeasurably more. Yeah. It's not about measurements.
Yeah.
You know, he's not all about how high, how strong, how fast, how slow, how intelligent, immeasurably more.
Yeah.
You know, so we need to just calm down the comparison and the measurements, because it's just, as you say, it's going to bring us all down.
That's
it's not good. Anyway, that's that.
Yeah.
You know, I talk about that
and that's absolutely great. And I think, just to finish adding on to that, is just the fact that, you know, we can see such great things in our lives, in our streets, our cities, our country, our world, if we just see each other equally. But then with that is the uplifting each other, but it's encouraging each other, because I think everybody has got some level of, oh, am I good enough? Am I all right? And stuff like that. But when somebody else comes and kind of gives you those words of that, those affirming words of kind of like, yes, you are, or yes, you can do better, or this is the good things that I see in you, they kind of make us all feel good, don't they? And then build us up. And then we end up being in a position where we do that for others because we know that it's important. So we uplift each other so that we can all live in a world where it's full of love, where it's great for our children, where it's great for you young people to go about every single day knowing that you can be greater than what you might think, just because other people are willing to uplift you and, see you as equals.
Yeah, and in this country, we do have this issue of banter, which is just like little nudges down, and I think we just need to be a little bit careful about that.
Absolutely.
Just let's build each other up. I think it's really important.
Yeah.
It's been cracking talking to you. There was a couple of things just to lighten things up at the end I just wanted to cover. One is everyone I know who knows you knows you as Sky.
Yeah.
Where's that come from?
So when I was 14, 15, I really fell in love with the color baby blue, right? Weird. So we were shopping one day with my mom and we saw this baby blue, sky bluey tracksuit. And I said, Mom, I gotta have that. Then I went and bought the same color t-shirt. I went and found some trainers that were white that had a bit of color. And I used to wear bandanas. I went and got a baby blue one. So I was just like covered in baby blue. So people started calling me baby blue at the time. And then I was thinking about getting into rapping at the time and stuff like that. And then people were saying like, oh, maybe let's shorten the whole baby blue thing. So some people started just calling me baby. And that was all right at first, when like the girls were like, hey, baby, like, hey, But then kind of like when some like older like ladies was calling me baby, I started feeling a little bit weird, a little bit creepy. So one of my friends said, why don't we change it to sky blue? It's like, it's a new brand. This is new when you start rapping now. So I was a sky blue for a long time, and that got short into sky. Everybody in my house, my mom, my siblings were calling me Sky, my friends. So wherever I went, it was almost kind of like Sky was actually my name. Even when I stopped rapping, people would still call me Sky. So even to this day,
Yeah.
people call me Sky sometimes.
Well,
So
there we go. Then now I
there we
know. I
go.
never
That's
knew.
where Sky came from.
I mean, I thought maybe it's a love of flying. I don't know.
Well, you never know what might happen.
Now, this is something I've not warned you about, but
Oh.
a lot of people who have sort of seen me working in the church will know that I've got a massive collection of hats and wigs. Right, that's kind of how we do youth work in Norwich.
All right.
About the hats and wigs. So I'm going to give you the choice. Now, I don't know if you've seen. I can't remember what the show's called. Something on Dave anyway, where they give someone the choice of only wearing a tiny hat or a massive hat for an entire. I think they said for the rest of their life. I'm going to give you the challenge.
Okay.
I've picked two of my best.
Uh-huh.
If you had the choice for the next year, would you rather wear this wig? No, with the danger that it might make you look like a certain country's leader, or this fish hat.
Oh wow!
All right. So for the next year, you've either got to go. You can go sideways on the hat.
I like that. I like
or
that.
you can go like straight at it. Wig or hat? 1 year. I'm not going to force you to do it, but what would you choose? And it's important that we know your answer.
Okay. Do you know what? I'm gonna go with the fish.
A fish?
Yeah, because if I wore the wig, I think it'll just be one of those like, ha ha, look at him with that stupid hair, whatever. But the fish, I feel like that's a conversation starter.
Oh,
I think people will come and say, "Oh, look at your fish! How are you? How are you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, it's a cool fish, isn't it? Yeah, this is me." And then we'll start a good conversation. It's a bit of an icebreaker. Actually, when you're done with it, if you can send it over, I can use it.
I'm never going to be done with that. That's mine forever. We wore it to New Day, which is like Soul Survivor. It's held in Norwich, and the idea was that where we sit down as a group, I would stand up with the fish hat on, and everyone could see where I was. And the amount of people that went, "Fishman!" And one guy came up to me, and he had a whale hat, and he was like, "I'm whale." And like, I'm fish. It was great. No, I appreciate that. Other people, they might go for the Trump wig, the Boris wig, but
we're just meeting Nemo.
I think that's a strong response. I think. Thank you so much for your time. It's been.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for having me, guys.
The positivity of what you've got to say has been absolutely delightful. I think it's great. I think we will probably see some anger online, and that's perfectly understandable. But I love the fact that you've filled me with a smile and a bit of positivity today. So thank you for that. I'm sure I'll see you soon at an event somewhere. When we're allowed to meet up face to face.
Looking forward.
In the meantime, look after your beautiful 1-year-old.
Love to your family.
Your lovely wife, and we'll see you soon.
Take care, bro.
Take care.